Excellencies, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, and Most Honorable Lady Allen. And please remain standing for the national anthem. You may be seated. Their Excellencies, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General, and the Most Honorable Lady Allen. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community. Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General, CARICOM. Members of the Cabinet. The Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders, outgoing President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, and Mrs. Marilyn Saunders. The Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, incoming President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Right Honorable Sir Dennis Byron, former President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, Chief Justice of Jamaica. Chief Justices and Heads of Judiciaries of the Caribbean Community. The Honorable Mrs. Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, President of the Court of Appeal of Jamaica. Other members of government. Members of the Privy Council. Other members of the Judiciary. Commissioners of the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission. Officials of the CARICOM Secretariat and affiliated organizations. Members of the Jamaican Bar Association and wider legal fraternity. Family and friends of Mr. Justice Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, guests viewing on online platforms, welcome. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to this tremendous occasion, the swearing in of the fourth President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson. Today marks a significant chapter in the history of the court and a proud moment for the Caribbean. In fact, this ceremony reminds us of our collective affirmation of our region's unwavering commitment to deepening regional integration and the continued evolution of Caribbean jurisprudence through judicial process. Welcome again, and thank you for being part of this historic day. To commence, I invite Dr. Carla Barnett to deliver opening remarks.
Your Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, and Mrs. Allen, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica and Chairman of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, Honorable John Briceño, Prime Minister of Belize and lead head of government in the CARICOM quasi-cabinet for justice and governance, other heads of state and government of CARICOM, Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, incoming President of the Court, and Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders, outgoing President of the Court, Ministers of Government, other distinguished members of the judiciary of the region, special invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Today's ceremony affirms and celebrates the decision of the heads of government of the Caribbean community to set up the Caribbean Court of Justice, which in its original jurisdiction is the final dispute resolution mechanism under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. This is not merely a ceremonial event. It is a powerful affirmation that CARICOM values the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the continuity of regional jurisprudence. The Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Charles Anderson will be the fourth president of this, our apex court. He is the quintessential Caribbean jurist, having obtained his LLB and LLM degrees from the University of the West Indies, our premier regional institution of higher learning. Dr. Anderson, as he then was, returned after a time in the United Kingdom to share his talents with his alma mater, and there he gave distinguished service in the Faculty of Law as Deputy Dean, head of the Teaching Department of Law, and the UWI Senior Lecturer in Law. At the CARICOM Secretariat, we had the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Anderson as General Counsel from 2003 to 2006. He served with his trademark insight and incisiveness and was of invaluable assistance in those critical years prior to the start of the CCJ in 2005. We were therefore not at all surprised when Dr. Anderson was sworn in as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice in June 2010, the first Jamaican, and at age 49, the youngest judge ever appointed to the CCJ. As founding chairman of the CCJ Academy of Law, he has helped to promote and shape standards and best practices in jurisprudence for the next generation of practitioners. Today's ceremony marks the logical next step in the professional trajectory of this extraordinary regional jurist. The Office of the President carries not only the highest responsibility for the judicial system, but also embodies the trust and confidence of the people. It is a role that calls for wisdom in judgment, integrity in conduct, and leadership in times of challenge and change. The CCJ President not only presides over judgments, but also shapes the tone, integrity, and institutional strength of the court itself. This leadership will be crucial as we navigate complex legal issues in an era defined by technological change, social transformation, and global interconnectedness. Justice Anderson, on behalf of the Caribbean community, I warmly congratulate you on this remarkable achievement. We are reminded by the wise Jamaican proverb that the older the moon, the brighter it shines. We are therefore confident that the wealth of experience you bring to your presidency, this vital body under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, is in knowledgeable and capable hands. I wish you the very best for your tenure. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barnett. It is now my pleasure to invite the Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders to the podium. President.
Thank you very much, Madam Registrar and Secretary of our Regional Judicial Legal Services Commission. Their Excellencies, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, and the Most Honorable Lily Allen, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, Honorable John Briceño, Lead Head of Government for Justice and Governance in CARICOM, Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM, members of the Cabinet, my brother, my dear brother, Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, incoming President of the CCJ, Honorable Justice Sykes, Chief Justice of Jamaica, Chief Justices and Heads of Judiciaries of the Caribbean Community, the Honorable Mrs. Justice MacDonald Bishop, President of the Court of Appeal of Jamaica, other members of government, other members of the Privy Council, other members of the Judiciary, my dear Commissioners of the Regional Judicial Legal and Services Commission, officials of the CARICOM Secretariat, members of the Jamaica Bar Association, family and friends of Justice Anderson, and I see there are a few here, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly a very special occasion for the Caribbean Court of Justice and for Jamaica as we swear in the fourth president of the CCJ, because of course, the Honorable Mr. Justice Anderson hails from the heart of Jamaica in the Garden Parish of St. Anne. I have had the great privilege of working alongside him over the last 15 years, and I could say without fear of contradiction that he is ideally suited and extremely well prepared for the enhanced role he is set to play in the life of the region's premier court. He is a product of the elite tertiary institutions in the Caribbean and the United Kingdom, respectively. As you heard, he obtained his Bachelor's of Law degree from the University of the West Indies in 1983, and he furthered his studies at Cambridge University, where he obtained his doctorate. Throughout his time at the CCJ, Justice Anderson fully demonstrated that he is an extremely hardworking and dynamic judge. Since he joined the court, he has sat on all the cases that have come our way in which we have been tasked with interpreting and applying the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. He has also sat on over 200 appeals from the various states that send their final appeals to us. He has written or co-authored some 32 opinions, and in most of these, he has delivered the leading opinion of the court. Being a judge at the CCJ is not just about hearing cases and writing judgments. CCJ judges have other responsibilities. For example, within the court, we devise and maintain a raft of court rules and policies. In this regard, Justice Anderson has been a tower of strength, both for me and my predecessor, who is here with us, Sir Dennis Byron. He has for several years successfully led our Policies and Procedures Approval Committee, which is a body established to assess the effectiveness and relevance of our current policies and their compliance with industry standards and legal requirements. It is arduous, painstaking work, but over the years, Justice Anderson and his committee have earnestly tackled this responsibility with the greatest commitment and success. Additionally, at the present time, Justice Anderson chairs our very important Strategic Planning Committee that is in the final stages of unveiling our third five-year strategic plan. Apex courts sit at the pinnacle of a judicial ladder. As such, they play, or ought to play, a significant role in seeing about the ladder itself, in reinforcing it, and helping to strengthen its resilience. They do so by engaging with the judges and officials of the courts below and with the legal profession. They organize and serve as resource personnel for training initiatives. They help to set and maintain standards to identify reform initiatives that can and should be undertaken. Justice Anderson's role in this latter regard has been nothing short of excellent. He has been the chair of the CCJ Academy for Law for many years, and under his leadership, the Academy can boast, among a raft of achievements, the crafting of the Needham's Point Declaration, which sets out a menu of measures that, if faithfully pursued throughout the region, will surely put a significant dent in crime. Outside the CCJ and Caribbean justice issues, Justice Anderson is a member of several regional and global bodies. He has served as president of the Seychelles Court of Appeal, chairman of the Anti-Corruption Tribunal of the ICC, as a judge of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and he's a founding member of the Advisory Council of the United Nations Environment Programme. Over the last year and a half, Justice Anderson has been a huge source of support for me, and I have no doubt whatsoever that the court will grow from strength to strength under his leadership. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Saunders. We now turn to the lead head of government for Justice and Governance, CARICOM, for further remarks, welcoming the Honorable Mr. John Briceño, Prime Minister of Belize.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, prime ministers, members of cabinet, colleagues, it's certainly a great pleasure to be here in Jamaica. It's not often that I come to Jamaica, and I've been promising Prime Minister for some time I'm going to be here. So here I am, even if it's for work, but here we are now. But good afternoon, everybody. And as we will say also in Belize, buenas tardes. Today is indeed a glorious and wondrous day for us to convene, as it is a momentous time for our region, for our people, for CARICOM, for the Caribbean Court of Justice, and of course, for the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston, his family, and friends. The place, Montego Bay, and the settings here at the Jewel Grand Resort Spa, overlooking the beautiful Caribbean Sea that joins all our territories, make today even more magnificent. And I should like to commend the event organizers for their excellent taste. Your Excellencies, colleagues, as it is well known, milestones like the 52nd and 20th anniversaries of CARICOM and the CCJ respectively provide the opportunity for us to reflect on our collective journey in pursuit of a better life and a better place for our people. Lord Walker, in his valediction address on debating office as a Justice of the UK Supreme Court, in jest, said this of the appellate courts. It was, I think, an Australian judge who, speaking of appellate tribunals, said that when the battle of the first instance trial is being enjoined in the plain, the appellate judges sit up on the hills. And at the end of the day, when the noise and the dust is settling, they come down from the hills onto the battlefield and shoot the wounded. Now, of course, that would never be said of our Caribbean Court of Justice. Indeed, the unique and aspirational goals of the CCJ, cast in its mission at the establishment 20 years on, without question, has been realized in even greater measure than the ratifying heads in February 2001 could have envisioned. Unlike any other appellate courts, the judges of the CCJ have this unique ability and role to also sit in the court's original jurisdiction, fleshing out for greater clarity the provisions of the treaty at issue, and also playing the role of the first instance judges, listening to live evidence as judges of facts. But the CCJ has, during the 20 years growth sprout, done more than this, that is to say, than hearing cases The fascinating achievements of the court during this period is catalogued and well documented on the court's webpage, outlining the court's leading role in developing Caribbean jurisprudence and promoting legal education, judicial independence, and access to justice in the Caribbean. I encourage you to do a search of the court's excellently managed webpage. As a Belizean, I am particularly proud of the fact that a number of the court's landmark decisions which have contributed to developing jurisprudence of the region emanate from Belize. As a regional court, and in furtherance of the CARICOM's goals, the CCJ then has been a beacon and manifestation of all that is good and great of CARICOM and the region. I therefore, no, we therefore must pay tribute to outgoing President Saunders, who has the distinction as the longest serving judge of the court, being the youngest of the inaugural appointees back in 2005. President Saunders' youthfulness can be seen brimming in those pictures of the inaugural court. And if I may add, we prime ministers never have the luxury that you have, because when we come out, we look beat up. On taking the baton of the presidency in 2018, President Saunders continued in the vein of his predecessors, transforming and further modernizing the court to ensure the court's mission were not just platitudes, but that the court, in fact, gave life to these words. Thank you, Justice Saunders, for exemplary service. Now we come to the man of the hour, the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, a jurist whose professional career highlights him as one who has always pushed the envelope, whether through his scholarship in molding the minds of future lawyers in academia, in advising and guiding the Secretariat as General Counsel, and being a trailblazer on the court. Indeed, do a review of the successes, achievements, and pioneering initiatives of the court in the first 20 years, and you will see the print and influence of Justice Anderson in them, particularly the breathtaking work of the CCJ Academy of Law, for which he has been hailed by the court as the, quote, the driving force behind. I am proud to say that Belize is one of the places Justice Anderson did his in-service training for the presidency he is to assume, as last year, September, as acting president, he was doing the work of the Academy in Belize and was the keynote speaker at the Criminal Justice Reform Conference, achieving the CCJ's Academy for Law Needham's Point Declaration. The court and the region have benefited greatly from his intellect, his scholarship, his leadership, and his unquenched drive to pursue continuously something new to advance the law and make it work for the peoples of the region. We have every confidence that President Anderson will continue the tradition of excellence of the court, and no doubt, given his track record, he has an impressive plan to further enhance the CCJ and surpass what we all thought were unmatched successes of his predecessor. Justice Anderson, on behalf of the heads, I extend heartiest congratulations to you and your family as you assume the presidency of the CCJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Please join me in welcoming Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica and Chairman of the 49th Regular Meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government, who will now deliver his remarks.
His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen and Lady Allen, Dr. the Honorable Carla Barnett, Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, the Honorable Mr. Justice Saunders, outgoing President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, and Justice Winston Anderson, the incoming President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, my friend, the Honorable John Briceño, Prime Minister of Belize and lead head of government for justice and governance in the CARICOM Quasi-Cabinet, Honorable Ministers of Government, Honorable Justices and members of the Judiciary, members of the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission, members of the legal fraternity, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my honor and privilege to address you on this historic occasion, the swearing in of the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson as the new President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. As we mark 20 years of the CCJ's contribution to Caribbean justice and integration, this moment allows us to both honor its legacy and embrace a new chapter in our region's judicial journey. Allow me to recognize the exemplary service of the Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders. The outgoing President of the CCJ, who has devoted nearly 30 years to Caribbean justice, 20 of those on the CCJ. Including 7 exemplary years as its 3rd president. Under his leadership, the court developed its first strategic plans in 2012 and again in 2019, strengthened its administrative structure and public outreach, and ensured continuity even through the challenges of the pandemic, with uninterrupted hearings and virtual operations. Justice Saunders, we salute your 40-year legal career, 48-year legal career, marked by integrity, compassion, humor, and unwavering dedication to the rule of law. Your legacy of judicial integrity, regional jurisprudence, and institutional excellence has profoundly shaped the CCJ, and we are most grateful for your service. Now, to the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, I extend warm and sincere congratulations. Your appointment is a moment of pride, not only for Jamaica, but for the entire region. You bring to this office a distinguished legal mind, a profound commitment to Caribbean jurisprudence, and decades of service grounded in scholarship and vision. You bring to this presidency a wealth of experience, including being the founding chairman of the court's educational arm, now known as the CCJ Academy for Law. Over the years, you have contributed significantly to the development of both the original and appellate jurisdictions, authoring key judgments that have strengthened the rule of law across the region. Your scholarly and judicial work continues to shape regional jurisprudence and inspire the next generation of Caribbean legal minds. As we look to the future, the CCJ must remain a cornerstone in expanding access to justice through technology and innovation, and upholding judicial independence and accountability. As we usher in this new presidency, let us embrace the next 20 years with confidence, shared ownership, and an unwavering belief in the CCJ as a cornerstone of Caribbean integration and development. Jamaica remains fully committed to the ideals of regional legal cooperation and to strengthening the institutions that uphold justice across the Caribbean community. We believe that the Caribbean Court of Justice, under this new leadership, will continue to inspire confidence, protect rights, and shape a region where justice is accessible, relevant, and transformative. In closing, I again extend our heartfelt appreciation to Justice Adrian Saunders for his legacy of service and leadership, and we offer our full support and best wishes to Justice Winston Anderson as he assumes this noble role. May the Caribbean Court of Justice continue to rise as both guardian of our regional legal tradition and a bold visionary force shaping the future of justice in our region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. The Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission plays an important role in making recommendations to the Conference of Heads of Government as it relates to the selection of the President of the CCJ. It is my pleasure then to invite Commissioner Samuels Brown to the podium to deliver brief remarks and to introduce Justice Anderson.
Their Excellencies, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen and Lady Allen, other distinguished guests, I ask you to permit me to adopt the protocols which have already been acknowledged and to welcome you all and to thank you for being here. I personally am honored and humbled to be here with you distinguished guests to participate in the passing of the torch, marking the formal transition of the presidency of the Caribbean Court of Justice from one distinguished legal luminary, Justice Adrian Saunders, retired, to the other distinguished legal luminary, the Honorable Justice Winston Anderson. I have listened to the speakers before me, and they have with eloquence detailed aspects of the incoming president's stellar career. I don't know if that has made my job easier or harder, and I will try not to repeat too much what has been said before. But because my role is to do the formal introduction, inevitably there is going to be some repetition, and I ask you to be patient with me. In addition to that, your program for posterity contains Justice Winston Anderson's biography, some of which I will take the liberty of expanding on. For 15 years, the Honorable Justice Winston Anderson has served as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice, adjudicating on matters which fundamentally impact the rule of law in our several Caribbean states, the rights of our individual citizens and the cohesion of our Caribbean community. As a Caribbean man, Justice Anderson earned his law degree at the Faculty of Law, University of the West Indies, and has been called to the bars in 2 of our jurisdictions, that is, Jamaica and Barbados. In 1988, he became a lecturer at the same Faculty of Law of the University of the West Indies, where he again excelled. His unquestionable commitment and brilliance was recognized by the university, which, not surprisingly, resulted in him being elevated to the rank of professor in 2010. And while at the university, he was also appointed to the position of deputy dean and head of teaching. But while at the university, his service was not limited to that educational institution. Based on his demonstrated knowledge and commitment to regional jurisprudence, he was seconded as General Counsel to CARICOM and served as Executive Director of the Caribbean Law Institute, the Center. So Justice Anderson's biography puts his commitment to the region beyond doubt. At the same time, we must not overlook the fact that he cannot by any standard be regarded as tunnel visioned. You have already heard of his training in England. In fact, he received a doctorate in law from the Cambridge University and is a member of the Bar of England and Wales. More than that, as an academic, he engaged in comparative analyses of the law from different jurisdictions, that is outside of CARICOM. He is the author of numerous articles in referred journals and of 5 leading texts, including one on the law of the sea in the Caribbean, Caribbean private international law, and principles of Caribbean environmental law. When you are sitting as a judge, to take time out to write these in-depth books is very time-consuming and requires much devotion and research. He is and has been a member of several global regional bodies, which you heard of before. As you were told, and as you probably already knew, he was president of the Seychelles Court of Appeal, a judge of the Global Court of Arbitration for Sports, and a founding member of the United Nations Environment Program Advisory Council. And this being the region, it is not surprising that he has also been chairman of the International Cricket Council and Council's Anti-Corruption Tribunal. What has not been said before by our previous speakers is that he is a proud father of 3 children who, like him, are standard bearers in our Caribbean jurisprudence. Anessa, his daughter, is a graduate of the University of the West Indies with a bachelor's in law and recipient of the Certificate of Legal Education from the Hugh Wooding Law School. She practices law in Barbados. So we have covered Trinidad, Hugh Wooding, and we have covered Barbados. Alicia and Anquan are both medical doctors, having studied at and graduated from the University of the West Indies Faculty of Medicine, Mona campus in Jamaica. So we have now gone to Jamaica. Permit me to record young people, I call you young people here, my thanks and the thanks of the CCJ and other professionals for your understanding and support while your father served and gave service in his various capacities. We know that this included trespasses on your time, but you have shown that it was worth it, not only in terms of what you have achieved, but what your father has been able to achieve. There is no doubt that with Justice Winston Anderson's inherent brilliance, he comes to us with the wisdom referenced in his, well, that can be referenced from his academic studies and service to the region. And this wisdom, if I may quote from the Bible, has been enhanced with knowledge and understanding. Justice, the Honorable Winston Anderson, is, without doubt, clothed with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding required of the President of an apex court. And so it is that I do not hesitate, and I take great pleasure in introducing him to you, distinguished guests, as he shall shortly rise to take the oath of office and be sworn in as the President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Samuels-Brown. His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, will now address us, after which the Governor-General Secretary and Clerk to the Privy Council, Major Dwayne Hill, will read the proclamation and invite Mr. Justice Anderson to take and subscribe the oath of office. Your Excellency.
Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, all heads of government of the Caribbean community, Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General, CARICOM, members of Cabinet, the Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders and Mrs. Saunders, the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, incoming President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, Chief Justice of Jamaica, Chief Justices and heads of judiciaries of the Caribbean community, the Honorable Mrs. Justice MacDonald Bishop, President of the Court of Appeal, Jamaica, other members of government, members of the Privy Council, other members of the Judiciary, commissioners of the Regional Judicial Legal Services Commission, officials of the CARICOM Secretariat and affiliated organizations, members of the Bar Association of Jamaica and wider legal fraternity, family, and friends of Justice Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen, guests viewing on the online platform, it is my distinct honor to administer the oath of office to the Honorable Justice Winston Anderson as President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. This moment holds personal significance for me, as I had the privilege of administering the oath of office when Justice Anderson was first sworn in as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice in 2010. Today, I am humbled once again to administer the oath as he ascends to the highest office of the very institution he has helped to strengthen over the past 15 years. Justice Anderson now becomes the fourth president of the Caribbean Court of Justice since its founding in 2004. Remarkably, this is the second time I have had the honor of administering this oath of office in Montego Bay, the first being in 2018 to the outgoing President, the Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders. Justice Saunders has carried out the responsibilities of his office with wisdom and humility and an unwavering commitment to judicial excellence. Under his leadership, the court has solidified its role in regional integration, elevated the quality of legal discourse, and built enduring trust across the Caribbean. I extend my deepest gratitude to him. Well, you're right before me, so let me say, I extend my deepest gratitude to you, Justice Saunders, for your extraordinary service and for your lasting contribution to the development of Caribbean jurisprudence. Justice Anderson now assumes this mantle at a time that presents both great opportunities and immense responsibility for the court and the region. He brings to this office a distinguished record of scholarship, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the ideals of justice, as you have heard so proudly remarked. A proud son of Jamaica and the Caribbean, he embodies what is possible when our institutions invest in leadership that is rooted in principle and dedicated to purpose. His appointment is not only a personal triumph, but also a resounding testament to our regional confidence in our own talents, values also, and ability to lead on the world stage. Justice Anderson, I offer you my congratulations. May you be granted strength, discernment, and continued success as you assume this sacred trust. May the Caribbean Court of Justice continue to flourish under your leadership, and may our Caribbean family grow ever stronger in our pursuit of justice, equity, and unity. It is now my great pleasure to invite you to take the oath of office.
A proclamation. Whereas the Caribbean Court of Justice is an essential part of the effort to deepen and strengthen the Caribbean community through a single market and a single economy, which the revised Treaty of Chaguaramus provides for. And whereas the Caribbean Court of Justice is the highest municipal court in the region that considers and determines appeals in both civil and criminal matters from courts within the jurisdictions of member states of the community, and which are parties to the agreement establishing the Caribbean Court of Justice. And whereas Article 4.6 of the Schedule of the Caribbean Court of Justice Original Jurisdiction Act 2005, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the President of the Caribbean Court of Justice shall be appointed by the qualified majority vote of 3/4 of the contracting parties on the recommendation of the Commission. And whereas Article 4.9 of the Schedule to the Act provides that the appointment of a President shall be signified by letter under the hand of the Chairman for the time being of the conference, acting on the advice of the heads of government. And whereas the contracting parties at their 48th regular meeting of the conference held in Barbados on the 20th to the 21st of February 2025, considered the recommendation of the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission and decided that you, the Honorable Mr. Winston Charles Anderson, be appointed President of the Caribbean Court of Justice from the 4th of July, 2025. And whereas Article 10.2 of the Schedule to the Act provides that the oath of office shall be taken and subscribed before the head of state of any contracting party. And whereas there is occasion for the taking of the oath by you, the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Charles Anderson, having been appointed President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Linton Allen, member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica, do hereby proclaim that on this 6th day of July 2025, the said Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Charles Anderson accedes to the office of President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, given under my hand this 6th day of July in the year of our Lord 2025. Sir.
I, Winston Charles Anderson, having been appointed a President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, do hereby swear that I will faithfully exercise the office of President of the Caribbean Court of Justice without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and in accordance with the Code of Judicial Conduct. So help me God.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Mr. Justice Anderson, I will now present you with the seal of the Caribbean Court of Justice. And now I invite you, sir, to give your response.
Thank you, Madam Registrar, as we say in the court. But on this occasion, thank you, Secretary, to the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission. Please permit me to adopt the protocol which has been established. Otherwise, I think it will rival the length of my speech. But to specifically recognize the presence of His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, Most Honorable Lady Allen, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, other esteemed heads of government and of the Caribbean community, Prime Minister John Briceño, the Secretary General of CARICOM, the Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders, outgoing President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, and Mrs. Saunders. Sir Dennis Barron, former President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, Chief Justice of Jamaica. Other heads of judiciary of the Caribbean community. Members of the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission. Government officials, colleagues, family, and friends, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. It was just over 15 years ago, on the 15th of June 2010, that I was sworn in as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice at King's House in Kingston, Jamaica. On that Tuesday morning, today's event would not have been within the reach of my most active imagination. And yet, by the providence of Almighty God, and with the support of family, friends, and colleagues, I stand here with humility and preparedness to serve as the fourth president of the Caribbean Court of Justice. I thank those responsible for this extraordinary honor of entrusting me with the presidency of the CCJ, the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission, the RJLSC, who recommended my appointment, and the Conference of Heads of Government, who accepted that recommendation. And I also thank the people of the Caribbean for their investment in and support of the CCJ as the ultimate voice of Caribbean justice. I must begin by acknowledging the sterling work of my predecessors in this office. They established the groundwork for the court to grow into the institution of excellence that it is today. President Michael de la Bastide laid the foundation, leading the inaugural bench, which crafted the first procedural rules, heard the first cases, and established a high bar of judicial erudition. President Sir Dennis Barron brought the technological revolution to the court, and by dint of his personality and outreach efforts, made space for the court on the regional and international plane. And my immediate predecessor, President Adrian Saunders, furthered that mission by providing excellent and outstanding leadership in both the strategic direction and the judicial work of the court. These three legal stalwarts have laid a solid foundation for this court to grow and prosper. This moment is not mine alone. It belongs to all those who shaped my journey, which began in the quiet of rural St. Anne, the Garden Parish in the heart of Jamaica. My upbringing was modest, but rich in lessons, molding me into the person I am today. My community was one where values. My experience as a law lecturer taught me that graduates of the Faculty of Law and of any one of our three law schools are amongst the brightest legal minds anywhere in the world. Their presence in our community affirms that our most brilliant young citizens need not look beyond our shores for opportunity to excel in nation building or in living a good life. There is a Caribbean dream if we dare to conceive it and to pursue it. My experience at CARICOM reinforced that inseparable from that Caribbean dream is laying claim to our sovereignty. Beginning in the 1960s, we extracted our political independence from the United Kingdom. 40 years later, the framers of the agreement establishing the CCJ deliberately intended the creation of an institution worthy of our judicial sovereignty. Sound and enduring arrangements were put in place to ensure the independence of the court, including an autonomous RJLAC to appoint judges to the court and a trust fund managed by professionals to provide the resources necessary for the court's operations. My 15 years at the court has revealed its transformative potential. This year marks the 20th anniversary of that glorious April morning in 2005, when the CCJ moved from the parchment of an agreement into a living and functional institution. In those 20 years, the court has served the people and states of this region with its full measure of devotion. It has produced hundreds of cases to guide conduct between and within member states. These judgments have been examined, scrutinized, praised, and critiqued. They comprise a record against which to measure the promise and performance of the court. Most fundamentally, the decisions of the court have begun to shape the way that we, the Caribbean people, live our lives and how we see ourselves. It has been an honor to contribute to that process. It has often been said, but it bears repeating on this occasion, that the CCJ is an emanation of our own collective imagination as a people. It was not imposed on us by anyone. Rather, it was conceived and established and is maintained by the people of the Caribbean to serve Caribbean interests. In both its original jurisdiction, where it hears disputes touching on the CARICOM single market and the economy, and in the appellate jurisdiction, where it is the final court of appeal, the CCJ stands as a pillar of independence and a symbol of our collective maturity. It is worth noting that in its appellate jurisdiction, the court has exerted reach and influence well beyond the 5 states of Barbados, Belize, Guyana, Dominica, and St. Lucia that have accepted that jurisdiction. CCJ appellate cases are routinely cited and accorded favorable treatment by the judiciary in virtually every common law state in the Caribbean. As I assume the office of President of the Court, I do so not in isolation, but as part of a broader regional movement of national judiciaries dedicated to delivering accessible justice, ensuring respect for and advancing the rule of law, protecting and promoting human rights, and supporting sustainable development in our countries. As members of the judiciary, we share in the responsibility to make the Caribbean the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in peace and security. It is my intention to lead the CCJ in a manner worthy of its origins and its calling. My illustrious predecessors have left impossibly large shoes for one person to fill. But the bench is blessed with a strong group of vibrant and experienced jurists. With the encouragement and support of my judicial colleagues and the management and staff of the court, the CCJ will continue to strengthen its institutional capacity, enhance access to justice, and deepen relationships with national judiciaries, regional and international institutions, and the wider public. After 20 years, the court has still not attracted full support of all eligible states for the appellate jurisdiction, with 5 out of a possible 11 states joining that jurisdiction. I am hopeful that during my tenure, other states will fulfill their treaty obligations and become full members of the appellate jurisdiction. And I'm looking straight ahead as I uttered those words. Even as we maximize the use of technology, I would like for the court to intensify its itinerant sittings so that the people of the region can see us, interact with us, and realize that we are in fact their kith and kin and part and parcel of the fabric of their society. In closing, I wish to thank all who have taken the time to officiate at or attend this event. Governor General, Sir Patrick Allen, Prime Minister Holness, and other esteemed heads of government, Secretary General Barnett, fellow heads of judiciary from across the region, I can't name all the countries, thank you for being here, community and government officials, members of the bar, friends and family. Permit me to single out my 3 children, Attorney at Law Anissa Anderson, Doctors Alicia Anderson and Anquan Anderson, all products of the regional professional education system. Without their love and support, this journey would not have been possible. I also want to publicly thank the Registrar and Chief Marshal of the CCJ, Mrs. Gabrielle Fagado-Jones, and the hardworking judges, managers, and staff of the court for their dedication and commitment to the court. It is a privilege to continue our work together, and I look forward to what is to come. And finally, my sincere gratitude to the government and people of Jamaica for graciously hosting this event. Thank you all most sincerely. I'm appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you, President Anderson. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this ceremony signaled continuity, stability, and enduring promise of justice and independence in our region. As we bring the ceremony to a close, please allow me, on behalf of the judges and staff of the Caribbean Court of Justice, to extend heartfelt gratitude to the 3rd President of the CCJ, Mr. Justice Saunders, for his outstanding leadership over the past 7 years. And although now retired, earlier we saw he still has some pep in his step. I also congratulate the newly minted President of the Court, Mr. Justice Anderson. We look forward to working with you in your new capacity, sir, and trust that your tenure will strengthen the institution which you now lead. To the Governor General of Jamaica, Government of Jamaica, and Caribbean community, the CCJ extends its sincere appreciation for your collaboration and gracious accommodation of this ceremony. The ceremony has drawn added significance from being held just ahead of the opening of the 49th Conference of Heads of Government meeting. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with your respective teams. Special gratitude is also extended to the staff of the CCJ for their assistance in today's preparations. To each distinguished guest, thank you for your presence, support, and for bearing witness to this important occasion. May we go forward renewed in our commitment to the pursuit of justice for the peoples and states of the Caribbean. And now, please remain seated as the protocol team prepares for the following photo opportunities at the front of the room with His Excellency. His Excellency, the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, and the Honorable Mr. Justice Adrian Saunders. Please come to the front.
don't know. No, sir. Jesus, we have fence all around me every day. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. We extend our heartfelt congratulations to our new president of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Honorable Justice Winston Anderson, and wish for him every success as he leads the CCJ into a new era. Thank you for joining us for this special broadcast, and we invite you to join us again later this afternoon at 5 as we bring you the official opening ceremony for the 49th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM. We will be there to bring you all the sights and sounds from what promises to be a wonderful event from another beautiful location. It has been a pleasure. I am Jabertha Atkinson on behalf of the Jamaica Information Service team. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Let me acknowledge Senator Janice Allen, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Carla Barnett, CARICOM Secretary General, Chief Ministers, and ministers of government, members of the judiciary, the newly installed President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of regional and international organizations, distinguished delegates, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jamaica. We are delighted that you have joined us on my assumption of the chairmanship of the Caribbean community for the remainder of 2025. I thank my colleague and friend, the Honorable Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, for ably steering us through the first 6 months of the year. And she has done so with the fervor and determination and eloquence for which she is well known and admired. I want to thank you, Mia, because we started out at the same time. And I was a bit worried when you said young and romantic then. And you caught up to say still young and romantic now. So we are still in the same category. But I also thought that you would have used another one of Jimmy Cliff's great songs. Yes, we all can see clearly after the event, after the challenge, after we have exercised our duties. And we all should be aspirational, and we all should hope for the best, and we all should persevere. Yes, we can get it if we really want it. But upon assuming this role, I am also cognizant, Mayor, as your presentation would have alerted us to, there are still many rivers to cross. And so my job will be to get us across those rivers safely and get across as many of them as possible. And don't worry, you are in safe hands. And I am especially pleased that so many of my colleagues are here in Montego Bay, some of whom were with me in 2018. And I'm looking at one of my political fathers, Ralph Gonzalez. But allow me to take time to congratulate my friend, the Honorable John Briseno, Prime Minister of Belize, whose government was re-elected in March. And though her delegation is not here, I must congratulate the Honorable Kamla Prasad Biseso, newly elected Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. We also acknowledge the return to office of the Honorable David Burt as Premier of Bermuda and the Honorable Charles Washington Missick as Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands. In her absence, also, we acknowledge the election of the Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge, Premier of Anguilla, who is the first woman to serve in this distinguished capacity. Excellencies, we have some special guests with us. His Excellency Valdesi Urquiza, Secretary General of the International Criminal Police Organization, Interpol, and we look forward to the fruitful exchanges that we will have with him to further enrich our partnerships at all levels. I'm also pleased to welcome our special guest, His Excellency Albert Ramdin, a son of CARICOM, and the first from our region to serve as Secretary General of the Organization of American States, the OAS. I also wish to acknowledge and once more welcome Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM, and her team, with whom I'll be working even more closely since assuming the chair of the community. Thank you, Secretary General, and your team for your usual support. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our theme, people, partnership, and prosperity, promoting a secure and sustainable future, captures the essence of our regional purpose. It reflects a profound truth that security and resilience are not optional. They are foundations for prosperity. That people-centered development and strategic partnerships are not merely aspirational, they are essential. As small states, we are vulnerable, not just to global economic shocks and natural hazards, but to being marginalized in a world where power and influence often outweigh genuine need. And that is why we must think strategically, act collaboratively, and remain focused on the values and interests that unite us. Prime Minister Motley expressed, as I've said, quite eloquently, many of the threats which we face, which as small countries we grapple with. And oftentimes, as leaders, as we contemplate these challenges and we look at our size relative to the rest of the world, it can be daunting. And sometimes we may have the expectation that exceptions will be made for us, that our case will be treated with deference and deferential favor. But I think that as we enter upon the new order which seems to be emerging in the world, that we must be strategic. We must strengthen our institutions. We must take responsibility for our own destiny, because that is the only way we're going to only really get it if we really want it. It means we must focus on people, because human development must be the center of the integration mission. It must be the center of the development mission. Ensuring food security, access to decent work, climate protection, and importantly, opportunities for our youth, who make up 60% of our population. We must focus on people. We must also focus on partnerships, because global progress is built on networks of trust. We need stronger ties within CARICOM and with strategic global partners in Africa, North and South America, Europe, Asia, the Pacific, and the Middle East. In the new dispensation, which is emerging, it is clear that the world is not unipolar and that there are opportunities that we must explore. There are gains which we have left on the table, unexplored. And as a community, we must strengthen South-South cooperation. We must strengthen our trade cooperation with Africa. And we must strengthen our internal cooperation. The resources in CARICOM are sufficient for us to provide for the needs of our people. Guyana with energy and land, Suriname with energy and land, Trinidad, Jamaica with incredible human resources. What has stopped us for these many years? We have been saying we really want to get it. Did we really want it? I think that the emerging global situation must now push us to really get it, Mia. We can get it because the time to get the prosperity for our people is now. But that prosperity must be inclusive. It can't be for some. It has to be for everyone in this region, including our brothers and sisters in Haiti. It must be sustainable. And it must be resilient. Sustainability and resilience are the two new buzzwords now that every government must focus on. And so it is that the policies that we will pursue in CARICOM, whatever it is, whether it is the institutional structures that we will have to re-examine, the trade policies that we will have to pursue, the security policies that we will have to pursue, they must be pursued through the prism, through the lens of sustainability and resilience. So Jamaica will continue to champion initiatives that will make these three pillars, people, partnership, and prosperity, not just aspirational, because we have seen leaders come before with these aspirations. We have seen the words expressed before. The problem has always been our ability to be bold enough, strategic enough, systematic enough, disciplined enough to convert these dreams and aspirations, these words, into reality. The presence of delegations from 48 countries today is a powerful statement of global confidence in CARICOM and in our shared agenda. We are meeting at a time of intense international activity. In the months ahead, CARICOM will engage the world through the second CARICOM Africa Summit in Ethiopia and during the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. As small, vulnerable states, the unavoidable reality of the climate crisis stands as a sobering reminder each year, especially during the annual hurricane season. And as we prepare for COP30 in Belém, Brazil, our call is urgent and clear. The promises of the Paris Agreement must be met, both in emissions reductions and access to climate finance at the level and scale required. Our discussions tomorrow will give special attention to COP30 preparations and climate finance, which remain defining issues for our region's survival and prosperity. You know, for others, the issue of climate change may be an academic discussion between scientists trying to determine whether the data set is accurate or whether historically climate has changed over time and therefore climate changing now is nothing new. An academic discourse. But last year, just around this time, Jamaica was staring down the earliest forming and probably the quickest forming Category 4 hurricane, which devastated a third of our island. So for us, climate change is not an academic discussion. Climate change is real. We live it almost every day. And the impact of this has to be understood from the fiscal level and the need for financing, but certainly because of our size. A weather event in Texas, and our sympathies and condolences goes out to the people of the United States, in particular the people of Texas who were impacted by the recent weather events which resulted in flooding. But the impact of this will have no effect, literally, on the overall fiscal situation of the United States. A similar weather event in any of our economies would have a devastating effect. And therefore, we must continue to strongly advocate for climate justice and climate financing. And you have my assurance that Jamaica will continue to be a strong advocate for climate justice and climate finance. Friends, there can be no sustained prosperity without security. A July 2024 report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime entitled Caribbean Gangs, Drugs, Firearms, and Gang Networks in Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago points to a worrying combination of risk factors, including surging drug production in South America, the proliferation and competition of transnational and local gangs, and high availability and use of firearms that have contributed to soaring homicide rates. If the situation in Haiti is an indicator, these are not ordinary times, and they require urgent action. We must dismantle the influence of gangs in our communities, disrupt their financing, and cut off access to weapons. I am on record as saying that we need to launch a war on gangs of a similar magnitude and nature to the war on terror. Yes, I would invite you to clap for that. Aside from the climate threat, the threat that is most likely to have an existential threat in the near term for many of our states would be the growth of gangs. Many Caribbean states, by virtue of our history and the kind of civilization which we wish to develop, would seem to categorize gangs as a social problem. A problem caused by alienation of youth, poverty, breakdown in social mores and values, and therefore the policy response must be or should be a social response, one that treats crime and violence as a public health crisis. And this is so. There is no question that it is a social problem why 90% of persons involved in crime are males. And speaking for Jamaica, 90% of those who are victims of homicides are males. So yes, there is that strong social component. But I believe our society and the way in which we think about crime and violence needs to evolve to accept and understand the evolved nature of the challenge we face. And the truth is that what we are now facing is the organization of violence. It is the organization of violence for profit. It is not merely street level, dispossessed, socially excluded youngsters. There is a level of intelligence, a level of resources, a level of organization that has been brought to crime, and violence is being used to support a profit motive. And my own view is that policy and jurisprudence needs to evolve to address this matter. As I said, the situation in Haiti is only an example that we should look at very carefully. And I guess that's the true word. The Security Expo, which you can view just outside this room in a couple of minutes from now, is intended to spotlight our shared commitment to build a safer, more resilient region by exchanging ideas, innovations, and best practices. It is also an opportunity for you to see how the significant investments made by the government of Jamaica in national security over the past 9 years are yielding results in crime reduction and public safety. I just want to say here that the scale and magnitude of the problem, which is being faced by almost all member countries of CARICOM, cannot be addressed overnight. It took 40 years for the problem to emerge to where it is, and it will not be solved by short-term measures. It will require significant investment, but it will also require unified public support. And as we observe the challenges in several of our member states, and we see the rising homicide rates, we also see political dissonance. And so it is absolutely important that we come together as a region so that our individual publics can see and appreciate that they are not alone in this problem. That the gangs in Jamaica likely have a connection with gangs in St. Lucia, in Trinidad, in Haiti, in the Bahamas. And that there needs to be joint, coordinated action from the regional level. And I believe, from what I have seen and experienced in working with my colleagues, that there is a strong appetite for regional cooperation to treat with the security matters that are affecting our individual countries. And as Chair, you have my assurance that the matter of security, regionally and in terms of individual countries, that this will be a matter of great priority under my chairmanship. The 49th regular meeting will also provide another critical platform for dialogue on the situation in Haiti. We remain committed to advancing solutions that promote peace, stability, and development for our sister nation, and by extension, the wider community. Jamaica was one of the first countries to give a commitment that we would support Haiti with security personnel and to raise the call for support for Haiti. As Mia had pointed out, the appetite to support Haiti seemed to have been lost. The international momentum in support of Haiti seemed to have slowed. We cannot be true to our principles in CARICOM if we do not redouble our efforts in the international community to garner support for the mission in Haiti. We cannot leave our brothers and sisters in Haiti at the mercy of gangs. So, Haiti and the mobilization of international support for the security efforts in Haiti will be another area of significant effort and priority for CARICOM under my chairmanship. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, while not on the agenda, it is important that we take note of the outcome of last week's 4th Conference on Financing for Development, as stated in the civil commitment. Chief among these are the actions needed to close the $4 trillion SDG financing gap and advancing a multilateral ecosystem which is more inclusive, representative, equitable, and effective. Importantly, the conference secured reaffirmation of the special circumstances of small island developing states and the Abbas agenda. Jamaica will continue to use our co-chairmanship of the UN Secretary General's SDG Stimulus Group and the Group of Friends of SDG Financing at the UN for advocacy to ensure that the commitments made are not mere words on paper, but but translate into tangible outcomes for the benefit of future generations of the citizens of CARICOM. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since its inception, the CSME has been acknowledged as holding seeds of great potential. Yet many aspects of operationalization continue to elude us, including that of free movement. As the world presses us to strengthen our collective self-sufficiency, we can feel encouraged that 2025 has already marked a turning point with the completion of the signature by participating member states of the Protocol of Enhanced Cooperation. This development represents a timely and valuable opportunity to accelerate the efforts of countries. I look forward to our discussions in this context. Jamaica recently became the 8th country to have participated in national consultations on the implementation of CSME initiatives, with the active support of the CARICOM Secretariat. These broad-based engagements across the region are designed to deepen stakeholder understanding of the CSME and to showcase the concrete benefits it offers. They represent an important step towards building broader public support and strengthening confidence in the integration process. We commend the Secretariat on its selection and appointment of CSME youth ambassadors, who will also be engaged in this process. As a CARICOM lead on external trade negotiations, I will continue to work with my colleagues to facilitate reasoned and balanced recommendations on how we can best navigate uncertain dynamics, ensure that our voices are heard in all relevant fora, and that our perspectives advance the objectives of a free, transparent, rules-based, inclusive, and equitable multilateral trading system. Our heads subcommittee for this area convenes again this week and will report back to the plenary. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this conference will address a wide range of human and social development issues: telecommunications, transport, industrial growth, and demographic shifts. Alongside these functional priorities, it is clear that key institutional aspects of our regional movement now require renewed focus as we strive to strengthen both internal coordination and external partnerships. Allow me to say a few words about youth engagement, because I am resolute in my belief that young people must have a voice in shaping the decisions that affect their future. Youth across the region have thoughts and ideas about what we are trying to put in place for them and future generations. As key drivers and consumers of technological advancement, they hold immense potential to contribute meaningfully to our development goals. It is important that we engage them in a deliberate, sustained, and meaningful way. Let this meeting send a clear signal that we believe in our youth, we include them in the decision-making process for their future, and that their inclusion is not just symbolic, but real. And as we're talking about youth, who are oftentimes the main consumers of technology, social media, and artificial intelligence, I'm very happy that Sister Mia has raised this issue publicly, as we have internally and within our own countries and cabinets have discussed the impact of how our culture, the essence of who we are, is being changed in dramatic ways that are having significant negative impact on our societies. This is not a call to regulate, to restrict, or censor. But I believe that if we are not careful, the Caribbean civilization, quoting Mia's characterization of who we are, what we're trying to build, could easily evaporate. And so, as we talk about our youth, we must include them in a discussion about how we preserve our culture, our values, our mores, how we preserve the Caribbean people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it would be difficult to speak about our priorities as a region without acknowledging the broader global context in which we operate. From the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, to the escalating tensions in the Middle East, to the prolonged war in the Ukraine and underreported conflicts in Africa, each speaks to a more divided and fragile world. These realities affect us through energy prices, food insecurity, migration, and more. In this moment, we must be resolute in preserving CARICOM as a zone of peace and reaffirm our commitment to working with the international community to promote de-escalation, uphold diplomacy, and pursue lasting solutions grounded in dialogue and mutual respect. We have much ground to cover over the next few days. Hopefully we'll cross some of the rivers that I have outlined, but certainly we will prepare the next generation to be able to cross those rivers because, yeah, we will get it because we really want it. Right, Mia? So, as I conclude, I draw inspiration from the words of the Right Excellent Marcus Baziah Garvey, Jamaica's first national hero, who urged us to take advantage of every opportunity, and where there is none, make it ourselves. And in the spirit of possibility, we are reminded by the great Sir Derek Walcott that there is always more to see. Let us therefore move forward with clarity, with a sense of optimism that yes, we can get it, but also with a deep sense of purpose, an understanding of what the realities we face are, with no expectations of favors from the world. We are independent. We are strong. And we have what it takes to fulfill the CARICOM dream of prosperity for all our people. Let us reignite and reaffirm our unity as one Caribbean people with purpose and pride. We will get it because we really want it, and it's now clearer for us to cross all the rivers that are there. God bless you and thank you.
Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica and Chairman of CARICOM, distinguished colleague heads of government, and ministers representing their countries, members of the Cabinet of Jamaica, distinguished guests all. It was in 2018 July that I first addressed the CARICOM heads of government meeting as Prime Minister of Barbados in this very room, in this very town. I did so as a young, romantic, idealist, and a fervent believer of the regional integration movement. Today I stand to address you with scars and bruising, but still as a young, romantic idealist. And I say so conscious that over the course of these 7 years, our community has perhaps seen more challenges than we have ever seen since attaining independence. Indeed, some may argue more challenges than we have ever seen since the famous September 1947 Montego Bay Conference, which called for a regional integration movement such as we have to be able to allow us to more effectively navigate our development journey. We live in a very different world from 1947. But if ever there was a time for regional solidarity, it is absolutely now. And Secretary General, I thank you for outlining some of the concerns that we face. When I addressed the heads of government meeting in Barbados a few months ago, I made the point that this was a time for us to lay bare our hearts and to be able to speak frankly to build the institution that we want. I note that immediately as I finish speaking, there is going to be a song from Ramon Watson, from that great Caribbean icon, Jimmy Cliff. And the song that they've chosen is That I Can See Clearly Now. But I wouldn't mind if they added to that not just the power of vision, because I think across this region we have that, but the power of trial and effort. And there is no better song. I call myself, in fact, a Jimmy Cliff girl. There is no better song than You Can Get It If You Really Want, but you must try and try. You'll succeed at last. It is against that backdrop that I ask us to reflect on a few things today. We met and understood that our region, like every other region across the world, is suffering from the vicissitudes of cost of living issues that are making it more difficult for ordinary Caribbean people to make each day and to go through each day and night. And the question for us as heads of government and heads of state is, how do we make it easier for people to sleep? And how do we allow them to be able to undertake that task of taking care of themselves and their families in the most easy of ways, in spite of what has been triggered globally through geopolitical issues and wars and conflict and disruption supplies. We have determined that our agricultural commitment, 25 by 25, even if we have not met it fully, has put us in a better place than we were 5 years ago. But what we must not do is to stop, because if we try and try again, we'll succeed at last. Against that backdrop, a number of persons on a trade delegation week before last went to Boa Vista in Brazil to begin to open up the trading relationships that will allow us also to access food and meat at much cheaper prices than we are currently doing so. It is true that the actions of the United States government and their promise to impose tariffs on all Chinese-made ships created a catalyst for movement in a way that we could not find on our own. And if anything, we must thank President Trump and the U.S. Trade Representative for that. Mercifully, there was a stay of execution on the imposition of that tariff a few months ago. And I want to thank the Caribbean Private Sector Organization for working with us as heads of government of the Caribbean community. An amazing 500 members of the private sector went on to a Zoom call, showing that when our vital interests are truly challenged, we know how to find unity in this region. If we cannot open up greater supply routes, if we can increase our domestic production, cognizant, however, that we are constantly at risk of the climate crisis, decimating that which we are trying to do in terms of open field agriculture, then we can begin to recognize that we do have the capacity to feed ourselves more. The bottom line is, however, that there are still too many gaps. And the major issue of logistics, I am happy to report that there are at least 2 CARICOM member states that are now in the process of looking to acquire cargo planes to help us overcome the very difficult prospect of the movement of goods within this region. Equally, I anticipate that at this meeting at Montego Bay, we will have the presentation on the inter-island regional ferry from the private sector. And at this point, it is up to us to determine whether we have the political will to finally ensure that we can democratize travel through ships yet again in this region, knowing full well that with the federal maple and the federal palm, there were examples of it many decades ago, and that we have allowed ourselves to become purely at the mercy of air travel without recognizing that as islands in the Caribbean Sea, we have the ability to reach each other in good time and at cheaper fares than if we only use air to connect our region. Tomorrow, we shall also receive the completed work on the CARICOM external tariff CET and the rules of origin. And I want to thank all at COTED and Community Council for teeing it up. We did think that you were taking a little long, but it is finally here. The political judgment that has to be made by heads now is what other items that will not compromise regional production that can have the bond rates continue to be reduced so that we can see more progress on the reduction of cost of living, particularly of food and sanitary items. But this meeting will not only see these matters. We have come before our region to speak specifically of other things that are threatening our existence as a region. We live in a world now where fake news, regrettably, is a key part of all that we have, and where the improper use of AI can sometimes stoke great fear and panic among our citizens. It is about time, therefore, that we as a region come up with a CARICOM validation mechanism in the absence of the